the ultimate guide on how to stop caring about being perceived. If you clicked on this video, then you wish to rid yourself of the plague that is caring about what other people think of you. This is a condition that almost the entirety of the human race faces. And to just understand to which degree in which people's perception has an impact on our lives, we must pose to ourselves the following question. Who would I be, or would I pursue, and how would I appear if I never cared about what people thought of me? And if you give this thought exercise an honest chance, what you come to realize is you'd be completely different from the person you are right now. However, this person isn't as distant as you think. In this video, I'm going to shift the paradigms in which you perceive other people's opinions. A paradigm is the mental framework in which you perceive an experience. And to help you further understand what a paradigm is, I'm going to share with you the following story. There was a man on the quiet carriage of a train. He was sitting down reading a book. Onto this carriage comes a father and his two toddler children. The father sits down on the train all glum, looking sad, and the kids run up and down the train carriage, playing and causing a racket as kids do. The man reading the book then gets frustrated, stands up and walks up to the father and says, "Can you tell your kids to sit down? This is the quiet carriage." The father looks up at the man and says, "Their mother just died, and I haven't told them yet." So the man sits on his seat, and for the remainder of the train ride, is no longer bothered by the noise pollution caused by the kids. What it is that changed the way this man feels about the experience? His paradigms. The angle in which he perceived the experience from shifted. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 paradigm shifts to change the way in which you perceive other people's opinions, or other people's perception of you. Before we get into that, it serves to understand why we actually care about what people think of us. According to science, in earlier times, our means of survival depend on our ability to belong in groups. And being outcasted in these groups basically meant death. Hence, we develop some sort of anxiety, meaning an anxiousness that arises due to the fear of being outcasted from the groups. Fast forward to today, it is a mental burden which we bound ourselves by. So why is it that we care about what people think of us? Which brings us to point number 1. The reason why you care about what other people think of you is because you've forgotten what you think of yourself. The two are mutually exclusive. One must be more dominant in the mind. And oftentimes we outsource to others the things we don't know how to do ourselves. And in terms of our emotions, we outsource to the world the things that we forgot to give back to ourselves. And for those who aren't concrete in their own identity, they'll look to others to assign them one. But the greatest piece of advice I've ever seen off the internet is that if you make this reality your heaven, then it can also become your hell. And if you allow others to give you an identity, they can also be the ones to rob you of it. However, our fixation on caring about what other people think actually comes a lack of understanding of what their perceptions really are. Which brings us to point number 2. People's perception of you is simply a reflection of themselves and their own insecurities. We only ever experience life from one perspective. That's our own. Hence we hold others to the same standards we hold ourselves. People don't actually give advice. They share experiences in hopes you find something that resonates. People don't criticize. They advise you on things that they wouldn't do themselves. A compliment is simply something somebody would notice about themselves, and an insult is never too far away from something somebody wouldn't like said about themselves. And by understanding that, you come to the understanding that other people's perception of you is relative to their perception of self, because separation is the greatest illusion. There's always an element of self attached to everything that we do. Point number 2. You never really know what people are thinking, hence the world is simply a projection of yourself. You see, we always assume that we can read people. Although to some extent we are correct, we can read people. But there's no way of 100% gauging the accuracy of what people are actually thinking, even when they express their feelings to you. Therefore, if you never really know what other people are thinking, the thoughts that you assign to them about yourself is simply a projection of how you see yourself. And it is your self-image that needs work. And I'll give you an example. Imagine a day where you're dressed to the nines. You think you look absolutely amazing. When somebody stares at you too long, you're going to assume that they're staring at you in admiration. Now imagine a day where you feel shit. You're tired. You just finished work. You feel dirty. You're in a little bit of a mood. When somebody stares at you for too long, you often assign them a negative emotion about yourself. But it's your own thoughts that you are assigning them. Point number 3. People's respect is relative to their own desires and aspirations. A lot of us has people-pleasing tendencies. We want others to like and respect us. However, desiring other people's respect is foolish, and I'll explain to you why. When you consider those who we respect, we often respect those who have the things that we desire for ourselves. This could be accolades, physical attributes, material items, material things, or even a person. All of the above can be summarized into decisions. You respect others who made decisions you desire to make, but yet haven't made. Hence, desiring other people's respect means you desire to make decisions other people desire to make, but yet haven't made. See how foolish that sounds when you say it out loud? Nonetheless, the only person's respect you should desire is your own. And the only way you attain that is by keeping the promises in which you make to yourself. Point number 5. You're going to die sooner than you know, so stop living for others. Something we actually fail to comprehend in our lives is the concept of death. When we actually sit down and take the time and take a step back to acknowledge what it means to die, all our fears are alleviated and we understand how finite our time on this earth is. And when you die, you're actually forgotten faster than you think, almost within 24 hours. Your mother is probably the person who will remember you the longest, or your wife, and they'll probably remember you up to a month, and then they'll learn to get on with their lives. It's simply just the nature of being human. Hence, when we sit down and actualize what it means to die, right, and comprehend death, we start to then live a life that we truly desire. Because we understand that death is inevitable, and we'll all die one day. So why not give the thing a try? Whether you succeed or fail, you will die. So why not just give it a try? And the people whose opinions you care about will also die and so will their opinions with them. So why does it matter anyway? Ultimately, in order to stop caring about being perceived, you must learn to be competent with thyself. Competence is a deep sense of understanding, right? And in your process of learning to be competent, you must come to full self-acceptance. By coming to full self-acceptance is come to the realization that you're enough and that God created you. And does God make any mistakes? No, He does not. And constantly finding flaws within yourself is constantly finding flaws within God. And to me, that sounds absolutely blasphemous. I cannot stand for it. Understand that God created you the way you are. None of the things that you experience are unique to you. We're all experiencing the same life, just simply from a different perspective. So your problems or your struggles aren't as unique as you actually think. Allow yourself to find peace in the understanding that there isn't a thought, a feeling, or emotion that you can never think or feel or experience that somebody in this lifetime or the lifetime before hasn't thought or felt or experienced before. And don't be too hard on yourself. Now that you've acquired this knowledge and your paradigms have shifted, it is your duty to help yourself practice and unravel your conditioning and remind yourself to be aware of what other people's opinions truly are. But it serves to understand and know the version of yourself that cares about other people's opinion is the little boy or little girl who felt like they didn't receive the love or validation they deserved. So when you find yourself caught up with caring about what other people think about you, don't bash yourself for it, but comfort that little boy or little girl by reminding him he or she is and always will be enough. Thank you for watching. I hope this guide was beneficial to you, and I wish to see you in future videos. Peace.